All right. So you want to do the disclaimer? Think you can manage it? Can you get it out?
I don't know.
Do you have it written down?
No. The ideas and content included in this podcast, that's not it.
It's not.
That's not it.
It's wrong right off the bat.
How am I supposed to remember it? The ideas and content expressed in this podcast are our own and do not reflect the views or opinions of any current or previous employers.
Boom! It's so easy.
But that didn't sound good. I was All right, so what are we talking about today?
We're talking about tough conversations, man.
Hard conversations. We've both had to have lots of hard conversations in our careers in residential construction with each other, with our bosses, with employees.
Some of them this week.
Right. So with customers,
Definitely.
with contractors, with other lateral people in your own company and other subsidiaries.
Well, I thought specifically we were going to talk about.
You sound way better when you're up close to that mic, by the way.
I'm practically kissing it.
I know, I like it.
It just got really awkward in this small room. It's too hot in here. I lost specifically, we're talking about with our subordinates, right? Because if you're a construction manager, that means that means you've made it to a level where you're expected to actually train other people to do your job.
Right.
And it's I see a bunch of examples of this where I see guys that only allow their assistants to be like laborers. They're like, you're going to spend time with a laborer.
Yeah, we've heard a couple complaints from folks that are listening to the podcast saying the same thing.
Yeah, and I think that's really a disservice. So, as a manager and as a mentor and a teacher, you have to be able to have conversations where you critique the work that they're doing, right? So they know what they're doing, where they can improve. But at the same time, you gotta praise them, tell them what they're doing right.
Right.
But it's easy to tell somebody you're doing a great job. Oh man, you're doing a great job. Hey, I saw you built that house upside down. Nice job. A lot of effort.
Well, yeah. I mean, let's face it. If you're not succeeding, you're not going to be around for any amount of time. So if you've been here for a while, you're probably doing something right. At least completing
for sure
certain jobs.
Well,
right?
Hopefully, you know what? Though that's not even the case, because there are a lot of guys, and we were talking. I gave you an example earlier that will go through long expanses of time where their managers won't have the tough conversations with them.
Right.
So they continue to do the wrong thing over and over and over and over again until finally there's no choice but to just fire them. And you haven't given them the opportunity to improve. You haven't given them the feedback that they need to actually make the corrections.
Right.
And it's different if you give them the feedback to make the corrections and they don't do it. And then, see ya.
Yeah, and I guess you have to ask yourself as a manager or as a negotiator or whatever, if you're having that conversation, what's your end goal? Is your end goal to make them feel bad?
Sure.
That's not the end goal. It might be a means to an end.
That's just a perk.
No, I mean, the goal obviously is not to make anybody feel bad or to put you in your place or to tell you how much I know. The goal is to, improve or to be successful.
Yep.
So, you have to be looking at that end goal and focused on it, because it might not be a one-step thing. It might take a while before you get to that success.
Yeah. Hey, can I digress for just 1 second?
No.
Because
unfortunately, we only stay on topic here.
I meant to tell you about my groundhog. I had somebody gave me this advice, and it was the weirdest advice I've ever heard. And I hope they're not listening to this podcast.
Yeah. But they certainly are.
They should.
Let's
I hope they do.
face it.
So they told me I should capture it alive and then take it to a farm and let it go.
Yeah, the farmer would be real pissed at you.
Yeah,
Depends on what he's growing.
I was like, what farmer do you know that's pissed you off?
This guy with $20,000 horses up the street, he would love if you dig holes all through his property and break all those ankles.
I was like, they were like, hey, I got a cage. It's real humane. The groundhog could be alive. I was like, well, what do I do with it? Oh, you could take it to a farm.
Yeah, he'll live out his days. Maybe he'll meet someone nice.
I said, is there a farm where somebody's growing moles and they need like holes for them to live in? What are you talking about?
They would live together well anyway. It's funny because I told your story to a friend of mine who's a very different type of friend than whoever you were talking to. And he just started showing me pictures of groundhogs he shot in his own yard. He's like, man, an air rifle do the job.
Oh, I have a couple of airsoft pistols. They're gas.
That would just piss him off. He'd just be angry.
I'm pissed off. I need to shoot that summer. I need to shoot that guy like 100 times to make me happy. But if Gina catches me, I'm a dead man.
Yeah, you can't. You can't do it.
Anyway, I'm sorry, man. I just wanted to tell you about my
Don't apologize to me. I love your stories. I listened to our last show back and our conversations about the fence, the trash fence, with the door in it. It was hilarious. Dude, I loved it.
I looked at the fence yesterday, as a matter of fact, and I was like, I have got to put a gate on this thing.
I love it. So what were we talking about?
I don't know, man.
Hard conversations.
Hard conversations.
All right. So we jotted down a couple of things when we were discussing this. And there's some opportunities that you have as a manager, or especially as a manager, to like evaluate and to help coach your guys in the right direction. And some of them need lots of coaching. They need everything, right, from the ground up. And some of them just need your help to get to a higher level.
Yeah.
And I would say that the third category would be like the guys that are very good at this job. I put myself in this category when I was a CM in the field. I was super good at my job most of the time.
Yeah.
And then I'd get like distracted, or I was like playing rugby, or like being, living for the weekend, and you can't wait to get to do what you're not focused on your job. And so I get like on cruise control a little bit, and then realize, oh my God, I'm behind and I need to work really super hard. So there's that like third category there, I would say, for employees that you have to stay focused on. But there's a couple of times regular times where you have a chance to evaluate these guys. I wrote down your day-to-day. Like maybe you're just driving through to check out your job site, and you go and you meet with your manager, and you are, or if you're the CM, you meet with the subcontractors and you give them the chance to like, improve what they're doing. Hey, I noticed that you opened up all the packages for these switches and plugs that you're putting into this house, and then you threw them on the floor right next to where you were working, and you appear to be leaving right now.
Yeah. And now I have to slash all 4 of your tires.
So there's like an opportunity there. And I said, regular.
So let's back that up, though, dude. How do you handle it? I mean, I know how I would handle it.
Yeah. You shove a couple of them in his mouth, and you make him feel like a dumbass, and you pull his pants down and push him over.
I would be like, hey. I probably have a couple of my, I don't know how, it's situational, I guess. Depends on how my day's going.
Yeah.
Because I would most definitely be, probably be aggressive about it, to be totally honest. If I'm being honest, I'd probably be a little aggressive and be like,
yeah,
you left your effing trash in my beautiful house. Go clean it up.
Right.
Or I'm going to, pay, I'm going to bring somebody here to clean up for you. I'm going to double the charge, and you're going to pay for my time. MF.
Right. And then that guy might never come back out to your job site.
And then he'll be like, that guy's a jerk. He'll never come back. But I mean, honestly, hopefully you're at the point where people are cleaning up their trash. But there's I will tell you right now, I have a real life scenario where I have a trade partner. By the time this airs, this will be history, that is underperforming. And I'm making a change. I do not want to have that conversation.
No, it's a tough one, man.
It's a tough conversation to have, man. But we've had meetings. I've talked about the good and the bad. Mm-hmm. I've given lots of opportunities for improvement. It's just not there.
Right.
Schedule suffering, quality suffering, and I'm going to make this change. Mm-hmm. But I owe it to that person, that company, to make that phone call or to schedule an in-person meeting and have a face-to-face conversation with them and say, look, this is our history. This is where we're at, making a change.
Yeah, these were our ultimatums. Here's where you're at now.
Yeah.
This is our decision.
Yeah.
And
it's super uncomfortable.
It's tough. Man. And you know what? You might be doing business with that guy next month or next year or 10 years from now. Mm-hmm. And I feel like what you said, you owe it to them.
You do.
They're working for you. You're responsible for their work.
Yep.
Yep. I
Yep.
always use the line early in the conversations when we're doing those day-to-day corrections. I wasn't going to say like performance evaluation time. That would be more like a scheduled time where hey, look, we're going to, start you on this new job. You're an electrician,
Yep.
and we're going to give you a fair shot. And 6 months from now, we're going to reassess where you're at. A lot of times that's how you end up hiring people, right?
Yeah.
That would be a regularly scheduled thing. The day-to-day correction stuff, I like to start off a little light with it. Hey, buddy, like, you must have like a helper around here that's going around picking up all these plastic bags that you left all over the job, or something like that. Oh no, you thought I was gonna do it? No, silly. Dude, you see how nice this shirt is, buddy? I spent hours going to school so I don't have to pick up that trash. No, but I mean, so, maybe it's a joking thing. But you owe it to yourself and to him to make sure that he does it right, because the next thing that's happening is your boss or the customer's coming in.
Well, that's the thing, right? So I know with when I'm training CMs or assistant construction managers, whatever, or when I'm just getting them used to my style because they're new or I'm new to them,
which has
or
to take some long amount of time. I'm sure
it does. I like to. I'll be like, hey, I always make sure that there's some positive. I'm like, hey, man, I saw such and stuff. Man, you guys are managing a ton of work out here. This is great. I see the people working all over the place. But you know what? One thing I noticed, you need to do A, B, and C a little bit better. And then, so that's initial. I plan to see, blah, blah, blah. This is what has to happen. So then, next day, next week, whatever, next time I see him or whatever, especially if it's the same issue, I'll be like, hey, remember last week when we talked? Yeah. I mentioned this, this, and this. Yeah, I noticed none of it got done. What's up with that? And they'll be like, oh, well, you were serious? Or I told them.
I like to joke, but not about that.
Well, and then I'll say, look, dude, this is serious. All kidding aside, I'm like, look, I brought it up for a reason. I brought it up because this thing has to be fixed. But hey, I know you're going to fix it because I know you're a great guy. I know you're doing good work, whatever. And then if I see it again, that's when it gets serious. Then there's no joke. It's not cordial anymore.
Right.
Then it's, hey, I saw this again. What's it going to take? Is there a problem? Is there a reason you can't do this? What's standing in your way?
Was I not screaming it loud enough? Because I can do that if you'd like.
So and it's funny. I try to keep conversations with subordinates and employees very cordial. Because you want them to know that you respect them. You respect the fact that they're out there. But at the same time, you can be very cordial but very direct. So I'll say, this is what I expect. If I don't see this, I'm going to do X, whether that's
right,
formal. And I usually will follow it up with an email. Hey guys, today we talked about this on the job site. This is what I expect. Because now I have it. I didn't just mention it to them. Now it's documented.
Right.
And I tell them, I'm documenting this. And usually most guys are like, oh, I get it. This dude's serious.
Yeah.
I need to correct this problem.
The old CYA technique.
But I always ask them, is there something that you need from me to make this happen? Why are you not able to get this done?
Yeah.
So I almost turn it on to myself, put it on me first, say, hey, what can I do for you?
We're in this together. What can I do to help?
Yeah. I'll even tell them, depending on how I'm feeling, I'll say, do I need to do your job for you or can you handle it? Right. Kind of almost like a challenge.
Yeah. I use that technique subtly a lot of times too. A lot of times, you're asking a question, you're not getting a good answer, and then you just turn around and call the guy. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, did you get this door on schedule? Oh, you didn't? Hold on. And then I'm calling the door guy. Yeah. Hey, it's me. I need this done now. Can you get over here 30 seconds ago?
Yeah. let me show you how easy this is.
Yeah, exactly.
So, but it always comes with, so if I'm telling somebody what I expect from them because I'm correcting behavior, I'm correcting, whatever it is, I always say, this is how I would do it.
Right.
You do it the way you want to do it. This is how I would do it. You can use my way if you want.
Yeah, but here's the end result I expect.
Yeah, but here's where we're going.
Yeah.
So, and I guess that's kind of like that's how you would work it on a day-to-day thing.
Right.
But you always have to make sure that if they do it, you follow up and say, hey, I saw that this got done. Awesome job.
Right, exactly. Well, and another thing that I like to use, a technique that I heard one time, was a compliment sandwich. Or that would be yes, no, yes technique. Like, hey, buddy, how's it going, man? This job site looks fantastic. But I noticed we've got these couple of things that we need to work on here. Let's discuss those. And hey, man, like that final product on that last thing that you put together was really great, man. Keep up the good work. And that way you don't leave feeling like crap.
Yeah.
Different technique maybe when I'm giving out some rough news. If you have to tell somebody no to something that they're asking you for, I go with a no yes technique there. You got a list of things that you want, and I can't do any of them, but there are a couple of things I am able to do.
Yeah.
Like, hey, you need all this stuff from me. I'm not going to be able to do this. And this other thing that you asked for is stupid. You should have never asked. But this third thing, surprise! I'm here to help you.
But hey, I'll pick that wrapper up from your front yard as I'm leaving. You're welcome.
Exactly.
So I think that's like your day to day. But then it gets, if there's repeated things that need to be corrected or whatever, then you got to get a little more formal, right?
Right.
So then you're scheduling like a one-on-one. Typically, it's not on the job site. It can be, but I like to do it. I like it if I'm going to go to the trouble to set up like a one-on-one. I like to be a little bit more formal. I may ask him to come to my office, or I may, maybe we'll find out someplace in the model or whatever, someplace off the job site, formal, where I'm sitting across the table from this dude, the computer open. I've already typed up everything I want to tell him, and I say, here's the behavior that needs to be corrected. This is what I expect. Here's how I expect you to do it. Here are your measurables, because you got to tell somebody. You got to give them a timeline. You got to say.
Can't just say not good enough.
Not good enough. Fix it. You have to say this is what I want. These are our this is how we're going to measure your performance on this topic. Yeah.
You're here now at a 3, and 5 is where I expect you.
Yep. I will always put it in writing. Always. Just so that there's no ambiguity. So, because here's what I see a lot: people are like, "Oh, I gotta get this guy to manage his schedule better." Just as an example, and they'll say, "Hey, you gotta manage your schedule better." And they'll say, "Oh, am I not doing a good job?" And I'll say, "Oh, no, you're doing a good job. You're doing a good job. Sure. I just need you to be a little bit better." And the guy goes, "Oh, okay." And he's left thinking, "Oh, I am doing a good job because that's what he told me."
Right. And I only have to work slightly harder, which I've already done. Check.
I'm done. I'm good. So, and the problem with that is it's super confusing to the guy you're talking to.
Right.
Because you walk out of there thinking, unfortunately, I know managers that would walk out of a meeting like that and they'd be like, "I'm done. I told him what's up." But you didn't. All you told him was he's doing a great job. And that's not,
or
point.
That you're just doing a bad job.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're doing a bad job and you need to step it up or else.
Yeah.
That doesn't actually help anybody.
Dude, I once had a manager pick me up. This is years ago. Picked me up. It's like, "Hey, go for a ride with me." I'm like, "Okay, weirdo." So I get in his car. He's like, "I have candy." So anyway, I get in his car and, he was actually going to pick up lunch. And the whole ride, he's telling me what a terrible job I'm doing. Like the whole time. He's like, "This isn't good enough, and that's not good enough, and this isn't good enough, and this isn't good enough." We try to go through a drive-through, and he orders something. He's like, "You want anything?" I'm like, "I'm good." He orders his lunch for his big fat face, and we drives me back to the job site.
It just drops you off?
And just drops me off.
All right, peace, motherfucker.
Peace. No, measurables. No, this is what you're not doing well.
Right.
Just generic, I don't think you're doing a good job. I don't think... and I got.
And how does that help you in any way, or him for that?
Dude,
matter?
I got out of the car and was super pissed.
Right.
I was like, "What the hell was that?"
It leaves you there not wanting to work harder.
No.
It leaves you there wanting to be like, "Let me find another place to work."
I did.
So I mean, if you're a CM, and you have an ACM,
yeah.
Okay, you have an assistant construction manager. Once again, that guy is not your bitch boy.
No,
that guy is training to be you one day.
Yep.
And maybe not with you. I think a lot of guys that are CMs are worried that their ACM is gonna grow up and take over their job and put them out to pasture or something like that.
Yeah.
I don't think good CMs feel like that. Are you okay, buddy? I think Damien's dying.
I'm
He's not. He's having a really hard time with some Dasani right now.
Oh, this water's powerful. Sorry.
No, but that guy represents you.
Yeah.
So your job is to help him and raise him up and to and to make them better so that you're better. So, and you're going to have to look at them every day.
Every day.
I remember in the Army, it was like, sometimes you're sleep deprived and you're frustrated and tensions run high and you have to say hard things and you might even have to raise your voice, but then you have to all get on the same truck and ride back to the same house where you all live, the barracks, or the tent, or the village full of tents, or whatever it is. Like, you have to make your bed and then lay in it. So how you say it is, like I say, there are some people that deserve to be given what for.
Yeah.
Most of the time, it's just constructive criticism along the way.
Yeah, you know, it's funny you say that. When I was in the Navy, I had when I was in boot camp, man, I had an RDC. He was a mean son of a bitch, but I swear to God, if I saw him today, I'd have to throw both my arms around him and thank him.
Right.
You know, and he said some medieval shit to some people.
So while we're digressing, I think drill sergeants, drill instructors, anybody who has a brown round and is at a boot camp of sorts, those might be the funniest people that walk the face of the earth.
People that walk.
And the thing that I got my ass beat for more than anything was laughing at shit they said to other people.
I know. Sometimes it's impossible to not.
It is the funniest stuff you've ever heard. And they're just skilled professionals at mocking young privates.
It's like, do you guys sit around and dream up this stuff at night?
I think that there's like light beer and a campfire, and they're like, oh, that's a good one. I got to write that down.
But you know what, though? It's funny because, you know, we're talking about having hard conversations, and those guys, their profession is taking people that are underperforming at being in the service, right? Because they're brand new. They don't know what the hell they're doing.
Breaking them down to the first step.
And then raising them back up to the finest fighting force the world has ever known.
Right.
You know, those dudes are awesome. That's a hell of a job they're doing.
I mean, learned a lot of stuff there. A lot of setting the example. I mean, I remember listening to stories. You know, in basic, there was like, you know, you went through and you were just a piece of crap at first.
Yes.
And then eventually, like, right toward the end, well, you were all still pieces of crap, and that was like super clear.
Yeah.
But they was like little moments of like they were human, you know. They would tell you stories from when they were in their old unit, and that was where I was like, these guys are great, and that's kind of part of like what we're talking about here, right?
Yeah,
if you're a CM, definitely. You have an ACM, or you're a CM and you're talking to a subcontractor or a punch out guy or somebody that works for you, and you need to tighten them up. How you say it, you know. If it's constructive, it's going to make a big difference in their performance, in their life.
For sure.
You know, you're going to be able to influence them in the right direction.
Yeah.
And I wrote down lunch here, too. I like to deliver good news or bad news over lunch.
Hungry.
Well, I'm always hungry.
You like to deliver bad news over lunch?
Well, I mean, a guy's got to eat.
I guess. You're like, hey, here's a pizza.
Yeah.
You're fired.
I mean, I don't think...
It's in a to-go box.
Oh my God! Yeah, you better get a lid for that drink.
Oh, he's gonna need a lid. Yeah, and give him a straw. St. California.
No, I just mean, you know, even if you might be having you need to get your act together conversation, it doesn't hurt.
No, I get it. That's cool. That's good. I mean, you're
making fun
bread.
of me now.
I'm making fun of you a little bit. So, well, let's talk about performance evaluations, like annual performance evaluations. Because I recently had a conversation with some guys with a CM actually, and I said to him. He's got an ACM. And I said, you are doing his performance evaluation. And he looked at me like a deer.
He's like, what is that?
He's like, what? And I said, it's important. You know, it's important for your development that you do this.
Because nobody knows that guy like you do.
Right.
You could say that you do as a production manager because they all work for you directly. You sign their paychecks, but that's not what this is. This is day-to-day evaluation, improvement.
So, and, you know, because over the years, I've had some really good annual reviews and some that were ridiculous. You know, we both have I guess I had a mutual manager with you that would give a solid review.
Like very thorough.
Very thorough to the point where you're like, do you have cameras in my house? How do you know?
Yeah.
But, you know, very thorough. And, you know, they would say, hey, here's all the criteria and evaluate you for each section and say, this is what I'm seeing. Here's the good, the bad, where you can improve. You know, and a performance evaluation should take at least an hour. And then I've had some where the guys are like, hey, great job, sign here. And I'm like, oh, okay. That's it.
You don't care about this or me.
Yeah. I'm like, what is this? How does this benefit me?
Yeah, I think I want those things to not feel super heavy.
Yeah.
But I think they're important, and I think that you can just say that stuff. I think that you can just say, hey, look, I don't want this to feel super heavy, but these are all important criteria. And while I don't want to read every individual line here, maybe you do, I don't know, but I want you to know that you're doing well in these categories. I want to highlight these 5 things that we need to work on, and these 5 things that you're doing really well.
Yeah. Well, it's funny you say that, because I had a guy say to me a couple of years ago, and he was like, look, you're amazing at building houses. He's like, you got that. I'm not going to focus on that. Because I was like, well, I'd like to focus on that. Because I'm really freaking good at it.
It's one of my best qualities.
And he's like, what we're going to focus on is he's like, I want to see you succeed beyond this position. So I'm going to focus on that. And that's what he did. And he said, here are the things you need to do if you want to go to the next level. And I was like, okay. And it was super beneficial. I really took it to heart. And I was like, okay. And I dug into those things so that at the next opportunity for that position, I could say, hey, here's an evaluation I had where I was told I needed to improve on these things. Here's what I did. I was like, here's everything I did
to get there.
To get there. And now I'm here. Now I want that position.
Right.
I got it. So, so one of the things...
I think I've actually talked about this on the podcast, but I had an evaluation one time right before I made project manager. And the evaluator, who will remain nameless, but you'll probably know who it was when I tell the story, said that he goes, how do I say this?
I know who it is.
I know. And he goes, you wear your heart on your sleeve.
Yeah.
And eventually you'll have people working for you. And maybe screaming swear words and slamming stuff is not going to be good for anybody. And I was like, what are you talking about? Because maybe 24 hours prior to that, I was throwing shit across the trailer.
Yeah, no, I get
losing my mind.
Yeah, it happens, man. Well, you know what? I know exactly who that was, and he's an awesome mentor. He's a great dude.
He really is, and I think about that today because I do sometimes still fly off the handle, and then I quickly poke my head in everybody's office, and I say, it's just part of my process.
Hey, I wear my heart on my sleeve.
It's how I deal with it.
Don't judge me.
Don't judge me.
And don't report me to human
Please
resources.
don't tell anybody in HR.
Well, it's just super important, and it's hard, man, especially if you have a guy that's underperforming, to be honest with them, because it's like breaking up with a girlfriend,
right.
Man. Nobody wants to have that conversation.
Now, I think it's okay to just make shit up when you're breaking up with a girlfriend.
Oh.
Look, we're cutting ties here, all right? Totally all right to just be like, look, it's not you, it's me.
Oh, all right. Well, if you're not cutting ties with your CM and you want him to improve, you need to be really honest with them. And I'll be honest, dude, I still, to this day, I've done hundreds of evaluations, and sometimes I still get nervous about doing it, man. I'm still like...
Getting them or giving them?
Both, honestly.
Yeah, no matter how hard I work and how much I produce, I am always a little bit nervous to hear someone else's opinion about how I'm doing.
Dude? It's because you're being judged.
Right.
Right?
We talked about judging a lot.
Yeah.
It's true.
So, and I know that I feel like I hold myself to a high standard, and I'm sure that when I do the evaluations, the guys I'm evaluating, and girls, are like, what's this, by what standard am I being judged?
Right.
Because, you're being judged. So it's really tough. And, especially when you see, because you've done a ton of evaluations, some people walk into it and they're like, not a care in the world.
Right.
They're like, whatever. What do you got?
They sit down. Hey, what's going on, buddy?
Yeah. And that, that makes
got
it
lunch?
Easy. Yeah. You got lunch. I see it's in a to-go box. But then there's other people that come in and they're intimidated before they walk in the door.
You can see it on their face, and in their hands, and in their just body language. Yeah.
And when you see that, most people, if they care about this employee, they're going to go super light on them, and they're going to be like, oh, no, it's not so bad. It's not so bad. You're doing a great job. When they should be saying, look, you're working really hard, But
here are some things.
Here's what you need to do, maybe to work smarter. So maybe you don't have to work as hard as you do. Maybe here's some keys, improvement points that you can take out of this. But you just have to, as the manager, you're not just signing up to get a bigger paycheck. You're signing up to have those hard conversations, and you have to be willing to do it.
Yeah, because nobody improves around you. Yeah. You'll stay, status quo if you just keep it like it is. If you come in every day and you walk by the guy who just threw trash on the floor, or the guy who we used to joke about who wiped his hands and said, "Man, I did a great job today." When you're looking at something that is just blatantly wrong and crooked and awful, and it's like, you got to make those corrections. If you walk by him, you're the one that's wrong.
100%. Mm-hmm. So, because eventually somebody in that chain of command is going to have the courage to have the conversation. They're going to say, "Hey, dude.
Yeah. Who told you were okay? Which one of these idiots is your boss?" Oh, that guy.
Oh, that guy.
Right.
So, and then, so it's not just about giving bad news or criticizing, right? The best thing you can do is if you have that conversation with somebody and there needs to be improvement is to train them and say, "Hey, here's where here's where you need to improve, but here's how I want you to do it. Here's a training program in order to do it." We've talked about performance improvement plans, right? Where you take somebody that's underperforming and you sit them down and you give them a plan. That can actually be really beneficial to employees that don't know that they're underperforming, right? So if you're going to do something like that, and this isn't an annual thing, but it could be, right? It could be. So you're having this review with them and you're saying, "Hey, you need all this work." You're doing them an injustice if you don't explain to them how to improve. Because they may say, "Look, you're asking me to do something. I don't know how to do it." So you need to be able to say, "Hey."
Yeah, do you want me to start researching this and do you want me to Google what it is you're saying first?
Right.
Or are you going to tell me?
So I always find it's good to say, "Hey, here's how you can do it. We're going to get together. We're going to meet once a week for a month or whatever your schedule allows. To monitor this, to make sure, to see if you're either getting it or you're not getting it. And if you're getting it, great. We'll forget about this performance improvement plan. You'll complete it essentially, and we'll move on. But if you're not getting it, then we got to look into alternatives. You can go have lunch with Jason.
Yeah, just come out with me, and I'll send you packing.
So anyway, I think the bottom line is if you're gonna sign on to be a construction manager, a manager in it doesn't have to be construction, any type of a manager, you need to sign on to the idea that you're gonna have to really to come full circle in your skills. You're not just gonna have to be good at your job. You're also gonna have to be able to have those tough conversations. And I mean, it goes both ways: tough conversations, but also motivate people to be better every day. That's really the key. And that's what leadership is. So, every construction manager is either a leader by appointment or a leader by emergence, right? And if they're a leader by appointment, that means somebody put them in that position.
Right.
But if it's by emergence, that's because they've got the skill set and people want to be better that are around them. And the other people, their peers, have made them a leader, which is the best.
Yeah. Lead by example.
So, anyway, have the hard conversations. Don't forget to praise your people. That's it in a nutshell. Let's talk about something really important. That's September 26th.
Oh, my God.
From 5:30 to 6:30 at Vanish Farm Brewery in Leesburg, Virginia. That's going to be the hopping. That's where you want to be.
It's going to be lots of fun.
It's going to be lots of fun.
It will be.
So we're going to do a live event. Excuse me if I make it. I might not make it through the night. There's going to be tons of people there. Right?
Well, I mean, there will be at least two people there.
There will be people there.
There's a pretty good chance we're going to record it and have put it out later.
Yes.
That's
true. It's going to live.
It's going to be, it's going to be simulcast,
right? Simulcast. That's what we said.
I don't know what that is.
Anyway, it's going to be an awesome event. There's going to be, I believe there's going to be a ton of people there. The food at Vanish is amazing. The beer is awesome. There's wine. It's a great place to hang out. It's very friendly. Trying to convince the owner of Vanish Brewery to come out and let us interview him for a little bit. He's a super nice guy. His name's Jonathan. Anyway, go check him out there in Leesburg. I'll put the address on Instagram. I don't know what it is off the top of my head. BuilderTactics.com, the new website, will be live September 20th. Go check that out. There's tons of information on there. It's a great website, professionally done. I don't want to say we got a nerd to do it because I've never met the person that actually did it because this is 2019.
But it's obviously better than if you were to have done it by yourself.
Yes.
It does look fantastic.
Guys, we're also selling show notes. So this is super important. So putting a podcast out there is expensive. I'm not going to lie. We're selling the show notes for the first season. So it's about 30 couple pages long. And it's when we prep for a show, we have notes that we take. Like, so if we're talking about site management, we talk about sediment erosion control, safety, things like that. So this is basically a compilation of all the notes, all the technical stuff that we've talked about over the past 6 months or so, all together. It's basically a construction manager manual. But we're going to sell it on the website. Buy it. It's $10. You'll help support the show. Everything goes right back into the show.
If you don't buy it, we're going to have to close this thing up.
I mean, if you don't buy it, then that's it.
We're going to have a conversation over lunch.
Right. So, but the good news is, if you buy it, you'll be supporting the show. So we can keep this thing going. It gets expensive. So come out, support the show. Come support us at our live event. We'd love to see you. I suspect people will be flying in from all over the world.
Of course.
So anyway, follow us on Instagram, all that good stuff. Thank you so much. We love all the support we've gotten from everybody. And we will see you September 26th at 5:30.